Oh, hello.
Hey, peace.
Oh, we got to start at a good note this time.
Oh my goodness. Hey, welcome.
Welcome. I'm Dom.
I'm Mom. We're Scattered Minds.
Scattered Minds. Oh,
We're drinking tonight.
We are drinking, and since we don't really have a hashtag we're supporting, this is local. And
This
we are
is
gonna
local.
We are
Yeah.
gonna support Lil
It's called
Beaver.
Whoops. All berries.
Oh, berries.
It makes
This
me
is
think of
so
Captain
good.
Crunch.
This is so good. Wait till she takes her first drink.
So
We'll see how it goes. I want to just.
we got these from Endless Brews. Endless Brews is a place
support
that
local.
serves beers, local beers, and by local we mean regional, which is what we're talking about. Local,
Midwest, yes.
And so you can take home a growler, which means they have
Crowler.
I'm sorry, yes,
Crowler.
a crowler.
A
They
can.
have 20 beers on tap from local regional beers that we can get in the state.
It's heavenly.
This is one of them that they have in cans, but they can make you a can that they call a crowler. It's like taking home a growler.
It's 32 ounces, so it's 2 beers, 2 pint glasses.
Yeah, and they make it right there from whatever they have on draft at the time, and they rotate beers in and out.
Yeah, and it's very Iowa local, so lots of whatever they can bring in from Iowa, but this is Illinois, and if you don't know already, we are basically on the border of Iowa and Illinois. So Bloomington is not far. And
It says keep cold. Duh. It's beer. Anyway.
And yeah, let's take a drink.
Let's take a drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's so
Wow.
good. It's like sweet and
It's
creamy.
dreamy.
Yes. It's so delicious. And you know, the Captain Crunch, the Whoops All Berries, it very much is similar because it's so much berry flavor.
Yes, it's like a pop of berry in your face.
Yeah. And when I was first serving beers, they would tell me that some berry flavors are really hard to get into beer. Like blueberry flavor is really hard to get into beer. And this is so packed with berry flavor. It's so good.
Oh my gosh. And can you see the color? It's not like a beer color.
It's
It
like
looks
a
like
reddish.
juice.
Yeah, like a reddish brownish. Kind of looks funky. But...
Oh my goodness, that's good.
Oh, it's got some nice deep purpley red.
So yeah,
It's
this
like a
isn't
blueberry.
a beer blog. Well,
It should be.
It is tonight, maybe. You know, we
You're
like
gonna have
beer.
to introduce your book because I took the cover off of mine.
Oh, mine has.
Oh, yeah,
So
you're right.
So, well, here's the thing.
Here's Prince Lestat.
I don't own this book, and I already decided
We're not
that
supposed to be
I was going to
showing-
rent it
Showing where we're at, are we?
from the library if I didn't own it. So that's where I got this one. Anyway, in honor of Anne Rice.
passing away. We had to do this. I know we talked about it last time that we were going to read this book, and my mom has gotten a lot further than I am, which is sad, but I have just had a lot going on.
You know what? Life happens.
It does.
So yeah,
hard to get
but
caught up.
I gotta say, this book, okay, so
We
first
both
reading
talked
it,
about how good she writes and how when you steer
Anne
away
Rice
from
is a
Anne
great
Rice,
writer.
no one writes like she does. So when you steer away, it's hard to remember how romantic she makes her, passionate she writes her books.
Eloquent.
Yes. It is.
It's just
there's like a certain beauty that she has to writing.
yes, and you have to enjoy the romanticism of writing itself, the gothic romance and beauty that is writing,
and is the vampire style.
Yeah,
that
to
kind
enjoy
of created
it.
our thoughts on vampires.
Really, I think you're right. And that being said, it was hard for me to get into it at first.
Yeah, I agree. I
was just
definitely
like,
agree. Yeah, here we go. So that's exactly was like, okay, here we go. But she doesn't just tiptoe into it. She fucking dives deep. So it's like, we're all or nothing here. We're all or nothing, and you're gonna know everything there is to know, because I bet you don't remember when you read the Vampire Chronicles.
Oh my gosh.
Because none of us really,
I mean, you think you know.
Yeah, you think you know.
Everybody knows Lestat. Everybody knows the vampires.
Everybody.
But
when if you do read them, or if you have read them, you remember certain things. Some certain things stick out to you where you'll never forget these things. But when Lestat starts talking about the past and what he gets into, you're like, shit, I forgot that big thing happened. I forgot
that vampire and this vampire
character.
And whoa. And yeah, and so in this book, she gets into that.
So good.
This is the yawn at the beginning. She starts with the blood genesis and then the blood argo.
I guess, yeah, that would probably be right. I was wondering how to pronounce.
I'm like, what is that? Have we gotten into that yet? And then I realized,
it's kind of a table of contents. I don't know. Dictionary on what the terms are.
Yeah, that's what this is. Tells you about the different terms they use and what the things are. The dark gift or the dark angels or the blood. And then the Genesis, of course, tells you. It starts like at the beginning and you're thinking, oh my God, I got to read through all of this. But it kind of tells you where this particular...
Where we're at. Kind of your time frame. Yeah. Because we've already gone through the whole Vampire
vampires
Chronicles.
came from. Right.
But it's getting into... Okay, we went through Queen of the Damned, and we know what happened with the entity that was in the Queen. I forget her name. Akasha. And it transferred over to one of the twins. And then it... Yep. And then it, so it kind of tells about the twins, and it just really lightly touches on all the characters that we've already met.
The Queen and the people that house the entity, the spirit, the people.
I think that's in the... Oh, you're talking about the first reign, basically.
See, yeah. Okay. So it starts off telling you about where this particular brood comes from. Yeah. Because it started before that, and it touches on that a bit too, but that's where the Queen of the Damned brings you up to date. However, there are just so many things that we didn't know.
Yeah. And it's so cool because I kind of think it as like, I always think of when authors write books and they have so much clarity of what they're looking at and what their characters are, and they make these characters and they create these time frames and these events, and then you read it, they can go back and create something out of something that was already made because they can take a character that they didn't really get into their time frame or their story, and then you just see so much more. And that's kind of what this is. It's a build off of all things you already know.
Yeah, so there's some parts of it that you're reading that you're just like, what is the point of this?
Yeah, who is this character and where did they come in?
I've been through this part of this world already, and why do I need to know? And so you haven't gotten as far as I've gotten, and where I'm at is really things are dawning on me that
are catching you from
before. Blowing my mind. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen.
And people are getting it, what's going on. And so at first, when you're first reading it, you're like, no one really knows what's going on.
No.
Everyone is kind of like in a what is going on stage.
I like what you have going on here.
I'm like, I got to know who's, what, and where.
You don't understand. So she's got like
it's a list
genetic tree.
That I have never thought of this before, but I'm like, okay, this vampire is whom, and who made this vampire, and where they come from.
This is what we should have started with. Anyways, there should have been like some the tree that Maharet had started or whatever.
That's what I was thinking of creating in my mind, so I knew what was going on. I'm trying to keep track of it. So the first thing we hear about, though, is the voice.
That fucking voice. Okay, so this voice is talking to Lestat, because you first hear it with Lestat.
Yeah, so we start with Lestat. He's the very first author, and I would go so far as to say he's the author of Prince Lestat.
He's also the author of Lestat.
Character.
He wrote his own
Interview
book.
with a Vampire.
Supposedly he was the writer of Interview with a Vampire and of his own
Queen
personal.
Of the Damned.
And he wrote the Vampire Chronicles because in this book they talk about his stories and how he wrote those, and he was the singer that brought all of the vampires together.
Yeah, if you don't know, he was trying to. He thought he was tired of being a vampire, and he was trying to destroy the race.
So he was trying to destroy the queen, because if you destroy the king and queen, then you destroy the vampire race, because
that's what he thought.
The blood. Yes.
And that's what he thought he wanted to do, and he came to realize that he didn't really want to do that. once things started happening.
Lestat is kind of a... Everybody calls him the
he's
brat
a brat.
prince.
Yes.
Everybody does. Everybody calls him the brat prince.
He is a brat. He's like,
he's just...
I want my way, and then, what? Never mind, I don't want that anymore.
He's got such fantasy, and he's got such, like, this is where the romance comes.
Yes.
Because he's such, like, a fanatic romance, and he's like, well, if it's not going to be romantic, then I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
he's just kind of like sticks his nose up at, I'm not just...
He's the guy that...
Yes.
Does that with his hair.
He's very Paris. He's always talking about Paris. I love my hometown. I love Paris, and how he's like the culture and the love and the romance and the...
But he's such an asshole,
he's just so self-centered. He's like, I didn't do that for you. I did it for me.
He's a serious narcissist.
Yes,
that is what it is. Oh my God.
But you know what? I freaking love Lestat.
I know you do. I think he's your favorite character.
He is. I'm just like, good for you, buddy.
Louis.
Do you know what? Louis is such a baby. Such a baby.
Know, but I like Armand as well.
I really like Armand.
But, I think that might come from the movie because of who played...
Yeah. What's his name? I'm talking about Puss in Boots.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. Was that what you were thinking? What's
his name? That's all I can think of.
I can't think of his freaking name. Come on,
The Three Musketeers. He was married to Selma Hayek.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know who we're talking about, right?
Yeah. The hair guy.
Oh, God.
Del Toro. No, I was
gorgeous.
Benicio Del Toro. That's where I was going. What the fuck is his name?
Anyway.
We're going to come up with it and then be like,
We'll spout it out. One of us will.
Yeah.
Hang on to that. Anyway, so, back to the voice. And speaking to Lestat. And
so he's telling him, basically just giving him these, he's kind of like taunting him. He's like, what are you doing, friend? We're thinking these thoughts now, huh? Well, what about that? Honestly, I don't even remember what the first conversation they had, but he was like, would you get out of my head? Just leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah, that's pretty much where Lestat's at. He drank from the mother's blood, so he is a very powerful vampire. He's not the oldest by any means, but he's very powerful because of this. And he can hear things, but he can just ignore things too.
So he can like bolt down his brain, kind of just...
Yeah, and so he's pompous and, like we said, arrogant, and he's
I think the reason why
go away, I don't want to hear you.
I love Lestat so much is because he doesn't know how powerful, how much of a leader he is. And I thought that from Queen of the Damned because he was the one that was like, screw you all you guys, I'm gonna do my own thing, and like the queen's gotta go. You guys don't understand, she's gotta go. She's holding all the power, we gotta do something about this. He kind of led like a big rebellion, and he grouped everyone together, which it was his own like self-righteousness. It's all for me.
It was for him. Exactly.
But when he came out of that, he went back into hiding. He's like, oh, what was me? It didn't work out.
My life sucks.
Yeah, it still didn't get to where I wanted. But then again, he comes back, and everyone is trying to follow his footsteps because he led this big, huge... He led it. And so everybody's like waiting for him to have the answer because he always comes up with this grand plan. Yeah. And he always has this big thing. And now he's like, what do you guys want me for?
Well,
I don't...
Yeah,
because
it seems like everybody else thinks he is the leader, and
because he's like out to everyone.
Not. Yeah, that's not what I want to be.
But that was kind of like when he went to destroy the queen... and all the ancient vampires joined. I think what that kind of amount, like they don't really care what happens. And so right now what's happening is that all these new, like the fledglings, whatever they call them, the brand new vampires.
many new vampires made.
And they're just chaotic.
Yeah.
They just kill whatever's in sight. They run rampant, and they need someone to keep them in line. And so Benji, who is their next bullet point, comes into like radio, and I don't know if it's an actual radio station, but I know that he's calling to all the vampires.
No,
and he's saying
Benji has a radio station in his home. They've created one, and it's the first of its kind vampire radio station. Okay. And it's only at night, except he runs reruns while they're sleeping during the daytime. And the cool thing about Benji is that he is 12 years old.
Yeah.
He is a child.
And he was
a child genius.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and he was made by Marius. And he was 12 when he brought him over. So he looks like a child too.
And he sounds like a child.
And
so
yes,
all these people are hearing his voice.
Very intelligent and a genius. He's a smart guy. not to mention he's a vampire. But yeah, Benji believes that
Lestat can bring everyone together
yes.
and bring more
and that
order.
it's time for the clan to come together. It's
yes.
time for them to come together as a family, that he thinks that the elders don't care about them anymore, and that they're trying to destroy them, and he thinks that they should come together. They should bring the whole group together and be a clan.
So as Lestat does, he's like, yeah, screw you. Yep.
Why should I do that?
I'm not a leader. I came out and did songs and wrote books and, was artistic because I wanted to bring everybody together.
Because I could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I'm a vampire with supernatural powers, and look how I can sing with my voice.
Well, he also was wanting to be more himself. Like, if nobody's going to do this, then either I'm taking him down or I'm becoming more. It was basically
That's
like
true.
It's all or
That's
nothing.
true with getting with the mother.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. So Benji, who's with Benji? What's her name? I have it written down.
I don't think I'm to them.
The piano player that's with Benji?
No, the piano player is the guy.
Nope. So, that's Gregory. Have you read about Gregory?
Nope.
Antoine? Everard?
Nope.
Okay.
See? Not that far.
Okay, so have you read about the doctor?
Oh, yeah. Farid.
Let's get into that. Farid and Seth. Yes.
Seth, yeah.
So, well, let's just talk first. Benji has a female vampire with him that is a musical virtuoso on the piano, and that's something else that they put on the radio.
Okay.
So they play this over the air, over the waves, and it gets to other vampires. And the thing about all of the vampires is that they can hear one another. And so
there are regulations on it. So
right.
like a maker cannot hear his
fledglings.
Yeah, I was going to say spawn.
And vice versa.
They
can't hear who made them,
right.
and they can't hear who they make.
Mm-hmm.
But they can hear heartbeats, they can hear blood pumping, they can hear other vampires talking, and the older they get, the better they get at tuning them out, right? So,
and hearing them too, because the heartbeats are a lot slower. There's a lot more.
Right.
They
know what they're hearing.
Yeah, he can hear that there's an ancient one around if the heartbeat is very slow.
Sluggish. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. So that the music that she is playing on the radio is a major part of it, because it's vampiric music, and so it's much more, and they can hear much more because of it from it. So yes, so
Farid and Seth.
That's one of the angles. Yeah, Farid and Seth is another angle here.
Oh, are we looking at different angles? Because I figured everybody had their own freaking chapter at this point. You have no idea how much information is in this
15
book.
angles.
Yes.
So I think that I'm just starting to see things come together, but she's not there yet. So
I have to wait for it. And look, I'm not very patient when there's 25 different characters.
Oh man, it's difficult.
How is this person? I'm on a character.
What does this one go with this one? Why are you talking about this now?
And I'm very interested in this voice too, because there is a voice talking to Lestat. And the reason why I'm interested is because he said it's familiar. This is a familiar voice.
Right.
And he doesn't know who it is. And it's a male voice, correct? It's not a female voice.
It's a male voice that speaks different languages and not always coherently.
Right. And so like old languages will come out. So he's like, this is definitely someone that is old.
Yes, but who is it?
Right.
And so that's what we start hearing Lestat going, I don't even know who you are. I'm not going to do anything you tell me to do. I don't do what anyone tells me to do.
The brat prince.
I don't know who you are, so go away. And just kind of shuts him out. So we start there. We move on to Benji being on the radio, calling.
So when does he come?
And then
I don't
Farid,
remember when he comes. What is the deal? Because I know that he has Lestat.
They meet Lestat, right? Yeah. So,
but doesn't it time jump backwards where he meets Lestat way a long time ago, like around Louis area?
Seth. It starts with Seth because he is the son of Akasha.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So Lestat knows him because they share the same blood.
Yes.
So they kind of have. The thing is that everyone thought he was dead. He took off.
Yeah,
Seth did. He resents his mother.
Yes, because when Akasha tried leading, so what she thought was that vampires needed to rule everything, and so she made her own pack of vampires, her own army to basically take down everyone. And Seth was one of those, but he went rogue.
Well, he was gone. She sent for him and forcibly made him be in the blood because he was her son. And
actual son, yes. Okay,
yes,
I was thinking
actual son. And her worry was that she was trying to take over, and so they were having a war, and she didn't want them to capture her human son and be able to get to her because of him. So she changed him, and he resented her for it, and he took off. And nobody had heard from him. They thought he was dead. They knew of Seth. And so then Seth apparently was, if I remember correctly, he was very intelligent, and he was in the arts and that, and was trying to figure things out.
I think
like
that
a doctor
he was
in
the
today's.
One. Yes, I think that he was the one that went looking for a doctor to see if there was a cure for vampirism.
Oh,
wasn't that what it was?
Was from, what book was that from?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But I didn't read
that.
The Body Thief, and he talks about the Body Thief in this, so it might have been from that.
Was the stat with. Yeah, I remember.
It might have been the Body Thief. So anyways.
So anyway, Seth ends up finding Farid, who is a doctor. He's a young Indian physician, not Native American, but Saudi Arabian kind of Indian.
Yeah. He is from the Middle Eastern kind of area, isn't that what it is?
Yeah, Middle East. Yes. Yeah. And so he changed him in the hopes that he would become a doctor to
the
help,
vampire race.
Yeah.
To help the vampire race.
To help figure out what they are, where they come from, what the blood really is, and the blood lust. So.
Which is very interesting because they talk about that in this book, and I know that they probably are going to touch back on it because they were such a big, like that held with me pretty well.
Yeah.
But they wanted, he comes back in a couple points that I've already read where he wants to take blood from all the ancient vampires. He wants to see if Mikhail, if he can get her to talk and see.
I think
is that how it is?
I don't know. I wonder how to say that too. Maharet, I know.
Yeah.
Makari.
Yeah, I don't remember because I don't remember her from the movie, but I haven't watched it in so long.
And she's the one that hosts the demon.
Yeah, she holds the power, the entity.
The core.
Yeah.
Sacred core.
There's a name, right? There's a name.
Amel.
Oh, it's Amel.
Yes,
okay.
Amel. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sticks in my head for some reason. But anyway, So the interaction with Farid and Seth and Lestat is very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, have you read this part yet? Okay.
Yeah, where he sleeps with the woman?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's a doctor too, right?
This is so weird. It's like they've collected
she's like a geneticist or something?
Yes.
And she's been waiting for Lestat. She's like, I've been waiting for you.
She saw him at the concert.
Oh, yeah. So at first I thought that was Jesse.
A century before.
At first I thought it was Jesse because I was like, Jesse was in love with Lestat.
But she's just human, and she was convinced that vampires were real at Lestat's concert a decade before. A century.
She's not changed. She is a human, and she's kind of following with what Farid wants.
Right, but it seems like they've gathered quite a few humans to work with them in
How did you imagine that? How did you imagine that? Because I watched him. I imagine him walking into this building and then like glass chambers, just holding women in beds.
That was kind of what I was thinking.
That's kind of what they were like.
Have you seen Westworld?
No.
If you've seen Westworld, you know what I'm thinking. But it was kind of like
a centralized room, and you just kind of walk and see all these.
It was like a lab.
Yeah.
And each room was its own
woman,
like rat in a cage, but it was a human waiting to be tested and used and
groomed,
whatever.
Poked and prodded, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It was. That's the image I got too.
Me too.
Except I feel like when they took him to meet her, she was like Magneto in the X-Men, where they had him all just in one place and nothing else was around him. He was in his own prison. She was in her own place.
Yeah.
This was her.
And
they took him to see her.
she kind of was like...
And she's like, hey, babe.
Yeah, it was kind of like she was beckoning to him, and he was like, oh, yeah, okay, well, good. Because they basically what they did is they tested on him, and they were like, we can give you... we can give you sex appeal and what you want. What do they call it? Like
your libido back. Kind of that they were going to be able to make it so that he could
want other than blood
and have an orgasm.
Yeah.
So that they could get his seed.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, they gave him whatever they gave him.
They gave him. Yeah, I'll do it.
Vampire Viagra, so that he could go in there and get some pretty women all.
I didn't even think about that till you just said it, but no shit.
Yeah, so basically, and then when it was done, it was done. He was like, okay, now the lust for blood is coming back, so I better get the fuck out of here.
An erection, and you insert the seed, and we will take it in our vials and test it.
We will smush our babies. No, I'm just kidding.
Smush our little heads.
That went very wild.
You know where you are, right?
Anyways, that's
Clink.
what happened. Clink. This is so freaking good.
Mm. I'm not sure how much further you are.
So the Talamasa, this is something where I'm like, is this just a group of people? Because I don't remember.
Oh, so let me get into that then. The Talamasca is a group of knowledge seekers that believe in ghosts, believe in vampires, believe in witches, believe in the paranormal that we would call paranormal.
Damn it, and time out. Because when I read that part, I was like, you know what, Anne Rice could have written so much more about like the paranormal side of things from just that. Mm-hmm.
So they are a group of humans, not vampires. This is what we know them as. But they have founders, and they're very secretive. And they have founders, and you don't really know much about the founders. You just know that people take over after time when people die off because they continue to collect this knowledge
this is their
and keep it
work.
Secret, and they believe that these are real, and they want to support, help if they can, but not intervene. Is kind of what they're like. We don't get into it. We just collect information and believe. And now we are finding out so much more about the Talamasca.
Are you? Okay, because I had questions.
Well, have you met David in his
David. I just read
spirit?
David.
David is now a vampire.
Yeah.
So David was not. David was human and part of the Talamasca.
Okay, no. So I read the story of Rose, which is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I did read about...
So David was human.
I just read David when he came in to see Lestat with Jesse.
Grempt yet? Okay, so you've spoke with Jesse. Okay, cool. So you know about that part.
Yeah. So
and that everyone else was sent away.
So there was basically Maharet, when everything happened with the queen, she decided to basically take all of this information and keep so much information for herself, because the Talamasca does not share their information. They're very secretive, and they've collected over years and years and years, but they're like an underground society, and no one knows who they are, and no one knows how to really get in contact with them.
It's only for their information.
It's only for them. It's only for them to keep and know and try to understand
and
themselves.
Pass on.
Yes, and exactly. It's their life's work, so they pass it on to someone else that now makes that their life's work, and that's it. That's all that they have. And so Maharet tried to do her own discovering of what this entity is, what this spirit is, what started
Amel is.
What started the vampire race, basically. And she has gone back as much as she could because she's worried about her sister and her family lineage and all that. So she collects all this, and eventually there becomes some kind of breakdown, and they don't know what exactly happened, but what did we say her name? Makari? Whatever. So she's the twin to Maharet, and she is the one that holds this entity, but she cannot speak, she cannot see, she is basically a mute, and she's kind of a vegetable. She doesn't do anything, she has no reaction to anyone, there's nothing, and Maharet just takes care of her. Yes. Yeah. She just takes care of her. And one day, everything goes to shit. Does it catch on fire?
There's a fire, yeah.
But it's a big, grand... who's with them? What's the guy's name that's with them?
I'm trying to remember. I know his name. Cayman.
Yeah.
Cayman is Cayman is kind of their caretaker.
So he took care of the queen, didn't he? When she was hosting the...
No.
What was he doing?
That's a different person.
Okay. Because I remember his name, but I don't remember from what. But I know that he is a name. Like, he went to help take care of her.
He was part of that, and he was part of the queen and went to what they call the New Brood, is Maharet and Makari.
Yeah.
And he became like a guard, a servant.
He basically was like, I'm here
bodyguard
for you, whatever you need.
Yeah.
So he was helping take care of these documents, these chronicles, everything that's been collected, and he kind of lost his mind a little bit.
Yeah, he is a bit crazy.
He's always been. He's been kind of
something
flighty.
Isn't all there.
He's always. That's what I remember him being, a flighty character, but very loyal, not unloyal at all. He's very loyal to his people. He's just very like. Sometimes he just loses it. He's just like la la la,
and it all burns,
and everything burns in their whatever they had stored.
And so this is when the twins move.
Yeah,
this is when
they go into hiding.
And they go into hiding.
Yeah, they go into hiding. So I did get to Rose too, and this is why it's kind of wild to go through this book, is because it's all over the damn place. So you go from one character to another, and you got to keep track of who's who and what's where.
And I got to say that I spent much time going. I'm interested in learning about these characters because I remember them from other books, but I'm like, what the hell is the point? What are we moving towards except this voice? Because as you're moving through it, you're finding out that other vampires are hearing the voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you met David and Jesse...
This is who I'm on now. Cyril? Is that his name?
Cyril, yep.
So Cyril was hearing the voice, and he's like, no, fuck you. He's basically like, I don't want anything to do with this bullshit.
Yes. But when you met Jesse and David, they were coming to Lestat to tell him...
all about...
We've heard this voice too, but here's what's going on with the twins.
Yeah. They were telling and it was okayed by Maharet. Well, she's kind of like the mom now. She
can hear everything.
The entity, but she is like the mother of all of everything. Because she holds
that weird?
Everything.
It's like they're one. It's like the two are one.
Yeah, it's like the one twin holds the spirit and is kind of not able
lifeless.
To do anything else because the spirit basically took her over. But she was,
and the other one holds the life.
Yeah, I mean, but. Her twin, she never did anything before either, because she was always... So which one went blind? One of them went blind.
Makari went blind.
And then so they took the tongue out of Makari? Because one of them...
No, vice versa.
Okay. So because she got her sight back.
Maharet got her sight back because of Farid.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then Makari, she can't see.
She has no tongue.
Yeah, she can't see though either, can she? Oh, it's just no tongue.
Well, she took her tongue, right, so she could speak.
So the queen of the damned, Akasha, did that to the twins. One of them couldn't see, one of them couldn't speak.
She took Makari's tongue and Maharet's eyes.
So Maharet got her eyes back because of the doctor, the vampire doctor that's helping as many vampires as possible.
That just makes me think, could they give Makari her tongue back?
They tried, but she was not responsive to their treatment.
Oh, that's right. I did read that.
And she didn't let them poke and prod very much, so they were like, they're just going to leave that be. But she probably wouldn't be responsive anyways. She's basically, in my opinion, all in her head, which I'm sure it's going to come out because she's got a lot. She's smart. She's got a lot going on up there. She's just not letting anything... Basically,
I feel like right now there's a reason.
Yeah.
Like she can't, and she knows she can't. And I'm not sure if I'm right about that.
She's holding all the power.
Like she realizes if I don't keep this state, all hell might break loose.
Yeah. I could see that.
I don't know if that's it or not, but I'm feeling like that. And I'm, and then we're meeting these other characters. You're in Antoine.
Mm-hmm. Cyril's who I'm on now. Oh, wait. Maybe it's vice versa. I don't know. Maybe I don't know who's
Antoine was turned at 18 years old.
Uh-huh. And he's the one
and he was made by Lestat.
Yeah. So, but we are skipped over Rose, who was adopted by Lestat.
Oh, yeah, yes, Rose.
So Rose is
Uncle
a character. Lestat, yeah. How does she not know if she's so smart through this whole thing?
I'm thinking the same thing.
This girl is supposed to be like a genius. She's supposed to be so smart. She's going to go to Stanford, and she's like riding the whole gravy train, and she gets anything that she wants. She's raised to have everything that she wants because Lestat is basically took guardianship over her. And so he's like, here's all the money, do anything you want, be smart, and just be who you want to be. Nobody gets that option in life.
She really also has a love.
She loves Lestat.
She loves him.
Yeah, she does.
You can tell.
She says in one part, she says, oh, I realized I'm in love with Lestat, Uncle Lestat.
She knows him as Uncle Lestat. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm reading it. I read it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, why did that? That's hilarious.
The scholar guy that she falls in love with, her professor, she tells him, my Uncle Lestat. She tells him the story. She's never told anyone about her Uncle Lestat and how these crazy things that she remembers. She remembers flying into the stars, and then his friend Louis Dulac. No, she didn't. She just said Louis because she didn't know his whole name, and she explains Louis, and he's like, "Are you fucking serious? There's books about that shit. You just made that stuff up on the spot. I thought you were really smart."
Lestat, not Lestat.
Yeah, it's Lestat. You got his name wrong. He starts getting pissed and throwing books at her.
Oh, that was crazy.
I know. I'm like, the hell? And she has no idea. She's never read these books. Never even heard of Vampire Chronicles. And she's so smart. And she reads all the time.
And how hasn't she? Everyone in the free world knows about the Vampire Chronicles except Rose, who is his supposed niece.
And she's not like...
That is a weird...
She's not held in either. Like, she's able to...
What is the point of Rose? This chapter could have gone away.
Maybe at the end they get together.
We'll see. I guess we'll see. Maybe Rose gets to be a vampire.
With Lestat.
But
all he wants is a lifelong partner.
But right now, there's no point to Rose. None at all.
That means she's gonna come.
But it was an interesting read for a few pages. I mean,
it was quite weird.
And that's how this seems to be. It's like, why am I reading this? And now it's shorter. It's done. Okay, I'll just move on to the next one.
And another story. There's another story about another person.
Yeah, it's another story. Once you get past halfway, they start kind of blending together.
Yeah.
So you're getting to stories, but I don't want you to read too much.
I've just been looking at the names. I really haven't even been, but this is who I was looking at, and he's a good Antoine. He's very musically, which all the vampires are very like. Yes. They're very into music. They're very pulled by music. They're very
it's the romanticism.
Yeah, exactly, the romanticism.
Music,
they all
love,
like piano,
poetry. Yeah,
they all love it. But he plays
every instrument
amazingly, so much so that he'll get tired and bored. Every vampire goes through the stages where they're like bored of life. Here I am by myself again. Woe is me. It's just one of the vampire things that you kind of go through. I'm going to bury
myself for 20 years and come back.
Yeah, and they do it because they get bored of the same thing over and over. And so when they come back, it's kind of his thing was Lestat made him, and he was like, I'm not taking a handout from you. He was 18, so he's in that aggressive teen stage where he's like, I'm not taking a handout. I can do this by myself. And so he didn't take any money from Lestat. He wanted to build his own life. So every time he does that, he comes out and plays a bunch of music and tries to draw in. He draws in a bunch of money, a bunch of people, but then he has to kind of move around because the allure of vampires, humans to vampires, is like he has to get away. Otherwise, he's going to be this big Lestat. He doesn't want that. He wants to play his music and enjoy the music, and he wants to get paid for it. So that's basically how he builds his life. So he kind of has like this piss poor attitude toward Lestat, but he doesn't hate Lestat. He still loves him.
He still loves him. Everyone loves Lestat.
See? That's what
everyone loves Lestat.
I love Lestat.
I just looked at this other note. In love with Lestat. I'm like, everyone loves Lestat.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
He is my mom.
Prince.
She likes Louis, but I don't like some wimpy.
Louis.
It's
Louis. Louis. I can just hear
Claudia. She's one of my favorite actresses.
Oh, Louis. Is she really?
She is. She's always been.
She played a great part, too.
Since that movie, she's always been.
Anyway, Claudia's not
Kirsten Dunst.
She's dead.
And Brad Pitt. And
Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Yep.
Tom Cruise.
That's not who I was thinking. Armand is
know is...
We gotta spit that out.
Dang it.
What is his name? You know, I mean, I bet...
Jean...
Ooh, wait. Not Jean-Claude Van Damme. No.
Antoine...
we gotta get this. I'm gonna Google it.
Okay, Google.
Come on, you guys are over here yelling at me.
We know you are.
Is it?
Yeah, we've had enough of this.
I have to know. I can't. Armand.
It's an A name. His name starts with an A.
Yeah. No. What? Not in
Wrong
Hawkeye.
answer.
In. What's
He played Armand? He sure did.
In the Vampire
Chronicles. See, you have to sit here through this with our scattered minds. Really, we're probably
Antonio Banderas.
Antonio!
I'm Puss in Boots.
In boots. Oh my God. If you have children, you know what we're talking about too.
I want to watch the Mexico. Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That's one of my favorites. And it's got Johnny.
Are we done here?
We're done.
I think we've talked about everything. We'll have to come back and
maybe
she can get through a little bit more of that book so we can get to the end of this.
This was supposed to be a half and half, but I slacked on you.
Yeah. Come on back and see us next time for the next half of Prince Lestat.
Or grand finale. You'll never know until you're here.
We might talk about it.
Adios.